this is just us having a conversation and we letting people listen in on it. But me and you be going back and forth about MLK. I personally feel, now you can correct me. I'm gonna give you a chance to, correct me, but I personally feel like you got a little bit of smoke for MLK, though. Like, I don't feel like when you talk MLK name, I don't feel like you put enough respect on it, though, in general. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in general. I don't feel like you put enough respect on his name.
Yeah. No. And I'm gonna tell you why. No, this is why. I feel that when Martin Luther King, when he was for a lot of integration, I feel like he made a mistake, But I do feel like I have came to, when I did my research, I came to understand that he had a change of heart with what he thought was, he understood that we needed money and land. We needed to be able to and that's where I come to really be on MLK side. But for the stuff he was doing and pushing, I don't know, man. I feel like it was kind of, he was leading us in a burning house,
Yeah, I mean, he said that himself. Those are his words, that he kind of felt like that. So that's somebody who was trying to get it together,
right?
And saw that maybe I could tighten this message up a little bit more, and I respect that because he did a lot for that time.
Right.
So I just have a lot of respect for MLK. I don't say I agree with everything, but I got I felt like he was coming at him a little hard. So that led us to this conversation where I brought up earlier, where I said a Hebrew Israelite shot MLK mama.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that. I'll keep it on myself. I didn't know that. And I thought the conversation was good to bring up because we had a lot of episodes where Kyrie was with the he was talking about the Hebrew, from
now
Hebrews,
hold on. I didn't after I did my research, I said I'm not fully convinced that the guy who killed MLK mama was a Hebrew Israelite. So let's put
great. So just to give
I don't want to be, co-signing something I don't.
I want to just give
some
context to the conversation. So I'm saying we done had the Hebrew Israelite, the extremist Black Hebrew Israelite conversation. We talked about Israelites that's in Israel right now. This is a constant thing that we're going back and forth about anti-Semitism.
Right.
We have kind of a difference of opinions on that. So your stance was you're not convinced that the man that shot MLK's mom was a Hebrew Israelite, or to be more precise, an extremist Black Hebrew Israelite, because there is a difference. And I want to make sure we make a point of that there's Hebrew Israelites who don't have radical extremist beliefs, and there are fringe sects of the Hebrew Israelite diaspora that have some pretty scary and violent beliefs. All right. So I didn't get anything wrong yet, right? You just don't believe it. You say you ain't gonna believe it just because you read it in an article.
Right, because I feel like that name gets tossed around a lot with, this person's a Hebrew Israelite to make that group look a little, they don't, a lot of media agencies don't separate the two. So it could kind of get misconstrued.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just keep it real, Bob. I mean, I don't want to put you out there, but let's keep it real. That wasn't the only thing that you had a problem with. You feel me? That the media conflates extremist Black Hebrew Israelites, you feel me, with regular Hebrew Black Israelites. Yeah. You felt like they just wanted to call him a Hebrew Israelite because it was like what, a black on black thing?
I think it could have been a political agenda, to call him that. That's what, I feel. But they said they got, research. They got research on why they felt like he was a Hebrew Israelite, but I couldn't find him.
They got research. I showed you.
Yeah, you showed me.
My boy.
Yeah, you showed me.
So why are we talking about you couldn't find it?
Because we went into the church that they claim, we went in and looked at the church that they claim where he got his Hebrew Israelite from it. We couldn't, me and you looked up and we couldn't find it. It was nowhere to be found. So, but they did.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves because.
Okay.
Let me show you. Let's go through the article that I shared with you, the first one, right? And we could go over your stance of not wanting to believe that this guy is an extremist Black Hebrew Israelite. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, right? This article I sent to you, you said you read it. I don't know if you did, but we're gonna go through it. Okay. This is Marcus Chenault's road to Atlanta, and the tragedy is linked to a bizarre interpretation of the Bible. This is an article that was written in 1974 by the New York Times. They digitized this article, right?
In 96, right? That's what they say,
when
right?
Exactly.
Go up. No, it says it right there.
Yeah, 1996. That is correct. They digitized it, so
Because when I remember when me first hearing about this situation and me doing my research, the word Hebrew Israelite in him didn't come up. So this is the first time me knowing that he was a Hebrew Israelite. So that's
the killer, right?
Yeah, the killer. Because I know about the incident, but I didn't know that they called him a Hebrew Israelite. But go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. But with new information, sometimes we have to change our position.
Right. Yeah.
I'll continue. Week after a young Black man shattered the quiet of a church service in Atlanta by killing Miss Martin Luther King Sr. and a deacon, the nagging questions of motive persist. His choice.
Wait, hold on. He didn't kill Martin Luther King Sr.
No, I said Miss Martin Luther King Sr. and a deacon.
Wait, so he missed?
The question of what?
Huh? Oh, go ahead, because it says it. Did it say that he killing of Miss Martin Luther King? Is that?
Yeah, bro.
And the deacon? Oh, so he killed Martin Luther King Sr. as well?
No, bro. Miss Martin Luther King Sr. means Martin Luther King's mom, bro.
Okay, got you.
All right, shot her in the deacon. Nagging question of motive persists. People want to know, why'd you do it? Now, there's a typo here, but they're saying this was his choice, but it was preordained 2,000 years ago as everything that happens today. That's weird. Mr. Brooks said that Mr. Chenault's task was incomplete. There were 10 names on that list. He said that it was the will of the Most High that the task be completed, and that agents of the Most High, I assume they supposed to have wrote there, would be called upon, right,
to do it.
Yes. Now this is an interesting excerpt that I sent to you. They're trying to give you why this guy might have shot MLK's mom.
Okay.
He uses his children to do his work, Brooks remarks. Every man with Reverend in front of his name is in trouble. God is going to kill them all. They're already marked. It was planned 2,000 years ago. But we're a non-violent. We are the most peaceful. We are the most peaceful people on earth. But we are non-violent. We are the most peaceful people on earth. How do you say in the first paragraph that you need to kill them all, but then say that you're non-violent? We're the most peaceful people on earth. That's crazy. It was this kind of philosophy that put Marcus Wayne Chenault on the road to Atlanta in tragedy. From interviews with scores of relatives, friends, schoolmates, and neighbors, a picture emerges of an energetic but troubled young man. On one hand, he seemed to enjoy the life of a whole Ohio State University student, football and basketball games, hanging out with the student union, going to parties. Outwardly, he was witty and charming, but there was another side to Mr. Chenault. I hope I'm saying that right. They seemed to tear at him. This other side seemed to tear at him. A side that made some fellow students feel him antagonistic and obnoxious. In the Ohio State University world of bigness, sprawling campus, large stadium, huge athletes, Mr. Chenault was sensitive about his small 5'3" frame. Got the little man complex. He had trouble dating. He went to parties, but no one can recall ever seeing him dance. He smoked pot and drank wine. He was no athlete. He missed making the fraternity of his choice. So Marcus, with his solid Christian upbringing and a strong knowledge of the Bible, searched for meaning through religion. That's when these fringe groups catch you, bro. When you're young, impressionable, and you're looking to belong. Everybody wants something to believe in. Everybody wants to feel a part of something. Now, this is his friends saying that he was weird. We always thought he was a little weird as a freshman, but there were a lot of weirdos on campus, remarked Carol Peters, who said she and a girlfriend ate lunch with Mr. Chenault soon after he came to Ohio State in 1969. He was loud and he would say weird things to get attention. He said he once killed some kittens he had by flushing them down the toilet. Soon we started avoiding him. More and more students began to avoid him when they found his conversations irrelevant, especially when he started on the subject that he knew best, the Bible. He did this even at parties. And a party was, this is a quote from Miss Peters, and a party was no place to talk about the Bible, but he did, and people were turned off by it. So they're going through this story, talking to his friends from his youth and everything like that.
At Ohio State University. Right.
Yeah,
he was at a predominantly white school. Right. Go ahead.
Look, his interest in the Bible resulted from deeply religious background of his family. He was the youngest of 3 children of Mr. and Mrs. Marcus H. Chenault. Young Marcus spent 17 years of his life in Winchester, Kentucky, a small town near Lexington, where Sunday school, the regular worship service at BTU, Baptist Training Union, were a part of every Sunday. Pay attention to this. A fairly bright youth, Wayne, as they faintly called him, displayed a keen interest in the Bible and would discuss this often with his mother, discussions she enjoyed until he met Mr. Israel. They're not talking about me, folks. This is a different Mr. Israel.
Right. They're talking about Hannah E. Israel of Cincinnati.
Okay, now this is the part where I want us to really focus on, because this was a part of contention for us.
Yeah,
right?
This was it.
We brought up this church, and because we can't find this church, you don't think it exists, but I'm just saying churches shut down all the time. Let me read this. In 1968, the family moved to Dayton, where Marcus completed his last year of high school. Graduating from Roth High in 1969, he enrolled at Ohio State, originally as a pre-law student, but he switched to education. He became interested in the Hebrew Pentecostal Church of the Living God, made up of small congregations sprinkled across the country. Says he became interested in it. This does not say he became affiliated. Doesn't say he was a member of a church. He just said he became interested in it. The sect believes that blacks descended from a tribe of Israelites and were therefore black Hebrews, not Negroes. Sounds familiar. The sect believes that black descendants from a tribe of Israelites and were therefore black Hebrews, not Negroes. Then Mr. Chenault heard of Mr. Israel and met the old man in Cincinnati in March 1973. The student made several trips to see Mr. Israel, taking Mr. Brooks and other friends with him to discover the truth. Okay, so now we know who Mr. Brooks is. That's the guy who was talking at the beginning of the article. Often the sessions was taped so that Mr. Chenault could take the tapes back to Columbus to study them. He made numerous phone calls to Mr. Israel to continue the discussions or ask for interpretations. The quote-unquote truth was a curious literal interpretation of the Old Testament. Whatever the problem, the answer was to be found in the Old Testament as interpreted by Mr. Israel, and Mr. Israel taught Mr. Chenault that the problems of blacks were traceable to false prophets, ministers, and civil rights leaders. For example, Mr. Israel counseled that the black minister had deceived the black people. And in Zechariah, I don't know what that is. I think that's what 13:3 declares, and it should come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live. I'm going to show you what that means in English. Mr. Israel told Mr. Chenault in a tape recorded interpretation that the verse meant that when God established a black kingdom, some of the false prophets, the ministers, would sneak back in, but both father and mother will be the first to kill them because they will want to go through the hell that we've been living for 400 years.
So
I think they meant that the father and mother will be the first to be killed. This is an old article. They had typewriters back then. This is kind of just edit shit like we do. But Mr. Chenault tested his new philosophy on friends and fam. Most of them rejected it outright and never took seriously his threats. So they talked to this guy's family, and he was making threats about killing ministers and stuff like that. He met the most resistance at home. He explained this new interpretation to his mother. She eventually refused to discuss religion with him. I'm gonna stop there.
Right.
You said you wasn't really feeling this article because we couldn't find that school that they mentioned. You don't think that this is painting a pretty good picture of why he might have a motive to kill a deacon and Miss Martin Luther King Sr.?
For me personally,
Yeah.
This is just me personally, right?
Yeah.
I feel that it would be a more motive for him to kill, because he said he had 10 people that he wanted to kill.
Yeah.
Right. It would be meaning for me that this was more of a white supremacy play more than a black Hebrew Israelites play. To me personally, that's
okay.
You know.
Let's stay there, bro.
Right.
Let's stay right there. You think that this is more about white supremacy than with Negroes, but they just gave you an interpretation where he was talking about false prophets, and Mr. Israel explained to him how important it is to kill false prophets because God has established this black kingdom. Right. And some false prophets is going to sneak in. So we said, so in order for us to keep God's kingdom on point, we got to kill these people. Why is that not good enough for you? Like, why?
I mean,
why would you insert the blacks? No. Why did you feel the need to insert the white supremacy thing in there?
Because when I looked up what black Hebrew is, we haven't seen this. This is the only time in history that we have seen someone that you're saying that's black, right? That believes in the black structure, or believes in black Hebrew Israelites, killed a black go into church and kill black people on something that's religious. But we see this time and time again that happened more than a lot of times that had to do with white supremacy. So it just makes me think, why don't we see any more of this? If that happened in 74, right? Okay. Why haven't we seen another killing that we've seen that somebody feel how he feel? Did Mr. Israel get somebody else? Like, I don't see that. Like, this is like a one-time incident that we can point to where we can't find no more incidents where nobody running up in churches killing Reverend saying this segment.
Well, it's not a common event. I mean, it's more mass shootings are more common now, but just because we don't see another example of this happening, I don't think that's a good argument for you not to believe that this could have happened. I mean, we know that Martin Luther King
could have happened. No. Listen, this could have happened, but this could have been the play, right? The play could have been more on the white supremacy case rather than killing a black person for just them being.
That's what I'm trying to say. You're making up facts now. Like, what about Marcus Chenault gives you white supremacy vibes?
Not that I'm saying the act. The act don't seem like it would be.
Well, honestly, it don't seem like it to you. But are you a Hebrew Israelite? How long you been learning about Hebrew Israel? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't classify myself as a Hebrew Israelite, but that's just where I'm going with it. You know what I mean? I feel like when I looked up the church, I didn't look up this guy, Hannah E. Israel. I didn't look up him at Cincinnati. But when I looked up the church,
that was over 50 years ago. These people didn't even have a website at the time. You think that every church from 50 years ago is going to be able to? You just type in their name in a Google search.
I can find a church where he killed his where he got killed at, where he
That's
did the
another
murder.
church. Just because we find information on one church, we should be able to find information on all churches. Is that the point you're making?
I mean, unless it's some foul play that's done with that church, but you said they probably went out of business. But that's
I'm saying that's a more likely explanation than you to say that, you know what, we can't
Then it
trust
was
this
made
article
up.
because we
No, I'm
can't find
saying
the church that they made up that fact. Like, I don't think they made that up.
right.
And I'm gonna tell you why. It's not like I'm gonna believe everything that is just in the article, but let me tell you something about journalism, and articles. When you present a story to a publication like the New York Times, you have editors, you got fact checkers that are going to find receipts of your stories. If you said that you talked to a friend of his from high school, you better have their name, address, you better have them on tape, you better have all of this, and the proof that they actually went to the high school. You got to properly evaluate and vet your sources for stories like this to come out. So I have reason to trust the research than to pull up a scenario that I don't have any proof of. Now, if somebody else had a story where, listen, we have proof that this was a white supremacy play, I'd be open to having my mind changed. But you couldn't show me no article where this was like
I
a
didn't
white
look up.
supremacy.
Right. I didn't look up. I didn't do an investigation to look up an article that made that play. But
Yeah, so
I
I'll
can
stay
get
here
what you.
until I see that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
we need, if I'm
I can understand that.
yeah,
I can
like,
respect that.
you need to refute evidence with better evidence. You can't come with no evidence and be like, well, I don't believe that. You feel me? Even though they got evidence, I don't believe that. I'm gonna believe this other scenario for which I have no
But I'm
evidence.
telling you why I would. It's hard for me. This is the only reason why I tell you why it was hard for me when I looked up the church and I'm looking up if we can't factual, like how would they able to? What makes him a Hebrew Israelite?
Because
What
he
makes
shared
you a
these
Hebrew
beliefs.
Israelite?
Because he had
Okay,
these beliefs. He had beliefs that
but
black
that's not
ministers need
beliefs
to
of a
kill.
Hebrew Israelite. Hebrew Israelites that we know, they don't believe that.
Yeah, but like we established at the beginning of this conversation, we got to stay focused. There's a difference between extremist black Hebrew Israelites and
So could
black
those
Hebrew Israelites.
extremists? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so we
could
know.
those?
So hold on. Let's one piece at a time.
Go
We
ahead.
know that there are extremists that have violent beliefs and some who don't. Right?
What extremists that have that kill black people? That's what you're saying? Extremist Hebrew Israelites that kill black people. I
We know
don't.
that there are extremist black Hebrew Israelites who have violent beliefs.
But towards who though? I'm saying when I look at the extremist beliefs that had towards this was the only one that was towards black people. This is what I'm saying. This is the only one that you can bring where you saying a Hebrew Israelite was directly at black people, not at white people, not at the
I
Jewish
didn't
people.
claim to have a whole bunch of examples of that. We're talking about one person and the people that he came into contact that we know about, right?
Right.
He had these beliefs. It was an interpretation from Mr. Israel. I'm not saying every black Hebrew Israelites feel like they need to kill black ministers. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have an example of a man who killed a black woman and a deacon, and they're saying it could be because he had Hebrew Israelites beliefs, and I find that to be very likely.
I just
You know,
don't,
like you don't.
I don't find that likely.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I've studied the Hebrew Israelite faith way more than you have, right? And I hear that same sentiment about how much distaste, right? And I might even use the word hate that they have for Christians, whether they be black or not. You know what I'm saying? They don't rock with Christians like that. Just like they don't rock with Jewish people like that. They feel like there's something different with them. They're God's chosen people. They feel like they're better than certain people. Some of them have that violent thoughts. So it's only when you have enough people talking violent rhetoric, it's only a matter of time before somebody acts on it. I want to bring something else up on this article too. I invite everybody to read this in its entirety, but Farrakhan's name even came up in this.
Oh, wow.
Because they're actually giving a play-by-play of how he ended up in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, I see it right there. Yep.
Right. So they're just giving accounts. Like there was nothing out of the ordinary about Mr. Chenault's behavior the week before killing Miss King. Friends and neighbors said there was nothing out of the ordinary about his behavior before he killed Mr. King. That's what his friends and neighbors said. He played sandlot basketball as usual and went to parties on Monday and Tuesday of that week. He had a good time, got high. He went into the religion thing, and then people ignored him, one girl said. He told friends that he was going to Atlanta, quote unquote, to meet destiny. But that was shrugged off. On Thursday, a young black Muslim saw him and inquired whether he still wanted to get a ticket for him to hear Minister Farrakhan of the New York Mosque, who was speaking.
I get it now.
The next night in Columbus. He said yes. The point I'm trying to make with you, bro, these hateful groups are similar, bro. They always got a person that they hate. Sometimes it's a black person, sometimes it's a white person, right? And they always think that God is giving them a special message. Not always, but a lot of times. I'm just telling you similarities that I noticed. So somebody who's going to see Farrakhan talk, somebody who's susceptible to that kind of message, I think that they can be radicalized to do something violent because there's so much violence in the teachings. This is somebody who has Israel as a last name. This is somebody who father was a Hebrew Israelite. These are beliefs that I once subscribed to in my younger, impressionable years. A lot of this shit sounded like it made sense to me. I could have been easily convinced that I was part of God's chosen race of people. And as his chosen race of people, we might have to lay down the law. We might have to spank something. I felt like that at one time. I'm not going to cap. I mean, if you feel like God is behind it, God is co-signing it.
But this whole article would make me think that the Hebrew Israelites is a group that put violence, and the Muslim, like from hearing this, what you're saying, it would make me want to feel like the Muslim community and the Hebrew Israelites community is a group that is hate group, similar to the white supremacy groups that that's what I would get from this. That's what I would get. And for me, I would feel like, okay, from all the killings and all the things that's been happening to blacks, okay, I can understand what they're saying. Somebody may have coerced this guy to go ahead and kill some Christians, and they were black. They was like, oh, we don't like, okay. It just sounds like a good story to make Hebrew Israelites and make Muslims look like they are the real, they're dangerous too, just like white supremacy. And I kind of feel like they're not on the same level at all.
I feel like that's where we could disagree, but I think a hate group is a hate group. And you could make arguments that, I mean,
I'm not saying this.
I'll say that they're in the same category, on the same level. I don't really want to get into that. But I'll say that the FBI says that the biggest threat to us is domestic terrorism, and most of those guys are like white. So that's the biggest threat. White supremacy groups. But I think that groups like that radical sect of the Hebrew Israelite movement, I think that they're a hate group too, and they are dangerous too. I give it up indiscriminately. If you got a hate group, if you black, I'm gonna speak on it. If y'all gay, I'm gonna speak on it. If y'all white, I'm gonna speak on it. Hate is hate. I don't like it. I don't like a group of people thinking that they're specially chosen by God to shit on another group of people. I don't like that kind of stuff. So I don't subscribe to black extremists.
So let me ask you a question.
Let me finish this. Mm-hmm. Let's keep in mind that article was written in 1974. There's other more recent
in
articles.
96 that it was republished. Yeah,
but they didn't
we didn't know they put at
they didn't revise it. That's why there were still typos in there. They didn't revise it. They wanted you to get the feel of what was going on back then. This is kind of a story that I didn't, we got to go back. We got to dig in the crates a little bit to find these old stories. But look, there's other stories more recently that talk about Marcus Chenault. There's other sources that I went to that also agree that he was a black Hebrew Israelite with extremist beliefs. We've done episodes of this podcast show, whatever we're doing here, where I explain the difference between extremist black Hebrew Israelites and more mainstream Hebrew Israelites. I know that there's a difference. And at that time, they might not have been looking at this situation in a nuanced way. They might have just grouped them all together. Like, that's what Hebrew Israelites are about, because we never heard about this shit until we found out about the guy who shot MLK's mom. That could have been their first encounter of this. So go ahead. I'll let you.
Right. No. I want to bring a great question up to you. So would you say that after the civil rights, the uprise of black on black crime, that blacks are, a lot of blacks are killing a lot of blacks that we're going through. Would you say this is a cause from white supremacy, or would you say this is just blacks killing blacks?
I don't think about this situation in terms of black killing blacks like you might be looking at. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens to me when people get bad beliefs. White supremacy has a role in this. I mean, honestly, we could say that white supremacy plays a role in just about any of these stories that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, because racism and the consequences of racism are so pervasive in our society. It just affects a lot of shit. So I don't like to go to that all the time. I know that it's there, but just to say that white supremacy caused that, I feel like that's very reductive.
Right. No. I'm not. I'm just asking. No.
But look, I'm just answering the question. So let me answer it. I feel like to bring that up is reductive. I'm not going to deny that white supremacy played a role in this, because I don't know, maybe black people being put in such a position in this. I mean, when we came over from Africa as slaves, they gave us Christianity, and black Hebrew Israelites is like a spinoff from that. And I could see how us as a broken people in the position that we are, we could identify with a story like, oh, they're talking about us as the chosen people in the Bible, and those are stories about overcoming and rising against the Pharaoh to free slaves, and that hope that people could have needed. I could see how somebody from our group, our community, could be broken in such a way that they're more susceptible to these kind of bad thoughts and bad beliefs and these hate groups. So yeah, I could think that white supremacy played a part like that, but I'm gonna put most of the brunt on the hate group. You know what I'm saying? Like, hate groups are bad. Any like violent religious beliefs are bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't be thinking, but first of all, I'm not somebody who subscribes to that whole, God theory. But if you're a person that believes in God, I don't think anybody should believe in God so much that somebody needs to die about it. Once you get there, you
that's
too
weird.
Far
that's crazy.
Yeah, you a straight weirdo to me, and we need to do something about you. I want these groups to get broke up.
Yeah. Right. That, I mean, you answered that question very good, and I agree with what you said. You said that they had played a part. They could have played a part in what's going on. Now, another question. What I said, there's a Hebrew Israelites that they said that's a group that is. You said that it's an extremist group. Have you ever heard of a Christian extremist group?
Yeah, I could call the KKK a Christian extremist group.
Talking about a black Christian extremist group. Like, they gave you the Bible.
Israelites, extremist black.
But they're not Christian. I'm talking about the religion.
But they are Christian, though. They are Christian. That's a sect of Christianity.
Okay. Yeah. I'm talking about the Christian. No, just strictly Christian. That somebody would believe in Christianity and they would be like, I'm a Christian, and they label that as an extremist group. The same Bible that they gave you to read. Think about what you just said. I'm just hold on. Hear me out now. Okay. You said that they came here and they gave you a Bible and they gave you Christianity. So my saying is, from any violence that happens, it would be none that happened that it wouldn't be a Christian. You blaming the Hebrew Israelites as they're a Christian extremist group. But I'm saying that's their own sector that they deal with. Nobody don't affiliate the Hebrew Israelites. Like you just said, this man killed a Christian. That's what you're saying. You're saying he was a Hebrew Israelite with a Christian sector, but he killed a Christian on the beliefs. So my whole point is they can't be the same if this extremist is going to make them kill a Christian. If they're going to say killing Christian, they can't be the same. I'm saying that for the Bible that they gave black people, and they say here, this is your religion, where they're not no extremists from all the deaths that happened that were just Christians, that was,
Yes, I mean,
killers.
obviously there was, Bob. We talk about
I
stuff
ain't
like
talking
that
about the
all the time.
KKK. I'm
Bro,
talking
listen,
about.
relax. I'm
Go
trying
ahead.
to answer. You asked me the question, though. Yes, a lot of
What you say,
a
Hebrew
lot,
Israelites?
bro. Can I answer the question,
Go ahead.
bro? Dang, dog, you gonna have me get like Shannon Sharp, bro. Let me get this
It's your
off.
monologue.
It's a lot of people, right, in these hate groups that we see in America, though, like Proud Boys, stuff like that. Like probably some of the groups that was there on January 6th. Just the people that like the guys like Dylan Roof. These people identify as Christians, and you acting like it's a different book. Black Hebrew Israelites read the same Bible, King James Version Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just
So
got a different interpretation of it, but I get what you're saying. They're not the same type of Christians. Fair enough. If you want to talk about the regular type of Christians that I think you're talking about,
the ones that he killed, that's all I'm talking about. The ones that this man said that he was after. He didn't like them. They could be because of the beliefs that they believe. Whatever that.
I think you have a tenuous grasp of how like these beliefs like form and how they turn radical, but they're telling you that he was raised as a regular Christian, like you said, right?
Right.
He was raised at that. So you're saying that they're not the same. I'm telling you that they're pretty close. And you're asking me if any other like hate crimes, right? Or people got shot or whatever, were any of them Christian? I'm saying absolutely yes. A lot of them were white Christian. So like when we see these mass
no black Christian extremists. That's what you're saying. There were no pretty much.
I ain't gonna say that. I gotta look deeper into it, but there was a guy who was shooting people at the subway. Nobody died, but remember it was a black dude. He called himself a black supremacist. That's what that's what he self-identified as. And I'm not so sure that he wasn't a Christian. You feel me? We have to go into it. I don't know off the top of my head any black Christian guys that went to killing people, but I don't know. Maybe that's something to look into.
Right. I'm saying because this is a very strange situation where they're killing the Christian, and this guy is a kind of a part of the group of Christians, like you saying. So I would just see that they can label a Hebrew Israelites an extremist group, that there are people that they're good people that's Hebrew Israelites, that they don't believe in conducting violence. And I just wanted to say that we have that with the Hebrew Israelites, but we don't have no, there's a lot of been killings that been with Christians, but we don't have no extremists. Well, you said it was the white people, but I'm talking about black people.
There's a lot of Christian extremists out there, a lot of them. And some of them I'd have to assume are probably black too. I'm not going to say that none of them are black. You know what I'm saying? It's a country of 331 million people, and the mass shootings in this country outpace the days of the year. We have seen black people do mass shootings, and I'd have to believe that at least some of them were Christian. I don't know if they were doing it because they were Christian or something like that. That's something that we could go into deeper, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm answering the question all the way, but there had to be at least somebody who was from a hate group that was Christian. Black, I don't know. I don't really see that many. I don't see as much black mass shooters from hate groups as much as I see ones that are white. That's me. Maybe that's anecdotal.
That's
you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be
what I'm saying.
Racial, but the ones that I see are
the ones that are
motivated.
Right. The ones that are culturally motivated, when you'll see like a shooting of even a Christian church or anything like that, it predominantly came from a white source. It came
that's
from
where we at right. That's where we at right now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's where we at then. No,
times changed though. Times changed though. I'm trying to say like times change. Like a lot of it's the same, but there are nuances and stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? There's subtle changes to things in the way that we see certain things, and I mean, it happens, bro. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I wouldn't rule that out.
Right.
You know, I think it's something that we need to look at and maybe we can see, but I can't think on the top of my head, but I wouldn't rule that out. Whatever, how crazy things being and people getting bad thoughts in their head, and with all the anti-Semitism that I've been seeing online and hearing from my friends actually since this whole Kyrie thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like the day where another Black Hebrew Israelite acts out against maybe another Black person, maybe another white person, but if we keep on hearing this violent rhetoric and this type of these radical sects become more popular and they get glamorized by people that we look up like NBA players and stuff like that, I think it's only a matter of time before we see something like a Marcus Chenault again.
Right, but that was the only. I mean, that's not the only time.
I ain't gonna say we need to research that. I ain't gonna make that
but
statement.
When I researched,
I didn't even know about him until today. I looked up this shit today.
So when I looked up, when I looked up the Hebrew Israelites, the attack that they associated with extremist Hebrew Israelites, right? Yeah. Only 3 came up, and the 3 I'm gonna share you my screen right now. And the 3 that came up, I'm finna show you now. And this is on Wikipedia. They killing Black people? No, only one incident, Cal. You know, okay. I mean, if you can find something more, I would be there.
I wasn't looking for it.
Right.
I wasn't looking for that. I was talking about that specific story, and you didn't want to believe he was a Hebrew Israelite. It seemed like you're ready to concede that he probably was a Hebrew Israelite at this point. Am I wrong?
What? Who was a Hebrew Israelite?
Marcus Chenault.
Yeah. No, I would believe that, you know, he wasn't a Hebrew Israelite. I would be feeling like it was probably a more white supremacist play. But I mean, going off of, they got the article.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Going off of the article, but I can see, but here, it says here, right? On December 10th, 2019. Now, these are the attacks that they put in, but they don't have all, but it just crazy that the dates, you got 1974, then you got 2019. So here it says on December 10, 2019, 2 people had expressed interest in the Black Hebrew Israelites movement were killed in a shootout with police. They had killed a police detective at Bayview Cemetery and 3 people at the JC Kosher supermarket in Jersey City, New Jersey. The victims were the Jewish co-owner. I don't want to get this channel all messed up, but I'm going to go into here. It says, this guy, Capers Funyie, I'm saying it right, who had been a rabbi for 26 years of the 200-member Beth Shalom B'nai Zekin Ethiopian Hebrew congregation. He condemned the attack and said that his community was griped by sadness over the heinous actions of 2 disturbed individuals who cloaked themselves in anti-Semitism and hateful-filled rhetoric. He criticized the media reports. This is where it gets real. He criticized the media reports after these people died and after what they did. He criticizing the media by saying it was unfortunate that the media uses the term Black Hebrew Israelites without distinction, as if the description is a one-size-fits-all.
Didn't we go over
and it's
that
absolutely
already,
not. We didn't go over that for the people here.
We definitely went over the whole Black Hebrew Israelite. Like we keep you.
No. I'm going over these attacks that what you're saying, and I'm saying these attacks were done against white people. So
okay, but I don't think that matters though. Like you keep on like I want to just
how does it don't matter?
I don't think because that's not even what we was discussing.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is that guy that you're discussing, they titled him as a Hebrew Israelite in 1974. This was done most recent in 2019, and a rabbi saying that them criticizing, he criticized the media for them labeling this guy a Black Hebrew Israelite. He's criticizing them.
Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is he's saying that there's a difference. There's peaceful Hebrew Israelites, and y'all calling him a Hebrew Israelite. So what he's basically saying is we need a new name for what the fuck he is. Because I know people who are Hebrew Israelites, Black Hebrew Israelites, and they don't believe the stuff that he's believing. So we're making a distinction. We started that off at the beginning of this saying that there's a difference. Extremist Black Hebrew Israelites and Black Hebrew Israelites. But you keep going over that over and over again. And you don't want to believe that that guy is a Black Hebrew Israelite, even though He has friends that said that he believed in this. He was infatuated with the church. He had a mentor that was talking about it. He's going to goddamn, people saying he want to go to the the Farrakhan show. You don't want to believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference between being skeptical, wanting proof of something, and then there's denial. You just don't want to believe it. Like, you trying to find all these ways around him being a Hebrew Israelite.
Well, we see people that criticize the media before from labeling people black Hebrew Israelites. That's all I'm saying. So it's the label of it.
The same thing over and over again, bro. We got that.
You missing that somebody could be labeled a Hebrew Israelite, but they're not. That's all the point I'm trying to say. So if
you don't even understand what he's saying, though, like, we're saying that he's an extremist black Hebrew Israelite. That article that we read was in 1974. So now we're correcting it. Back then they didn't have the right terminology. The world had to catch up. We're looking at this in our 2023 eyes. So we get it. You keep saying that same thing over and over again. I get it.
You dismissing it. You're dismissing the fact that they put somebody as a Hebrew Israelite that somebody didn't.
I want you to watch this back so you can just see yourself repeating the same thing over to me, and I'm agreeing with you, but you just want to argue a point that nobody's disagreeing with. He was a radical Hebrew Israelite, dog. That's not the distinction that they're trying to make. That's a different thing, and you just misunderstanding it. Let's see. What's that other article I sent you, though? Yeah, man. There's another. Let me show you something, bro. Because you said something before we even got on stream. You ain't want to listen to the New York Times because that's our oppressors. You can't believe them, right? This African American registry, right? Inspiring the young minds of the future.
Right.
Seems like they black on. I ain't, do a whole bunch of research.
But even if
they talk about, they seeing Marcus Chenault, Jr., murderer born. They going into his life story, bro. They're convinced this nigga was a black Hebrew Israelite, though. I want to go back into what he said. With look. Let me give you what they're saying. His parents were Marcus Chenault and Henda Lee Arnold Chenault. Mm-hmm. Of Dayton, Ohio. As a youth, he adopted the theology of the Black Hebrew Israelites. Chenault's mentor, Reverend Hannah E. Israel of Cincinnati, castigated Black civil rights activists and Black church leaders as evil and deceptive, but claimed in interviews not to have advocated violence. So these people...
Right, read that again, what he said. He claimed, you got to listen to what that man claimed. That man claimed that he have not advocated violence.
He's claiming that.
Right, that's what he claimed. Okay.
Chenault did not draw any such distinction in plan. What are you with these typos today? Chenault did not draw any distinction and decided to assassinate Reverend Jesse Jackson in Chicago, but canceled the plan at the last minute. So you listening to what Reverend Israel talking about, but Chenault is out here smacking shit, and you just want to believe that. You're overlooking all of the evidence. Shit. But listen, you're overlooking the evidence, right? That he's admitting to being a Hebrew Israelite, right? But you want to say that, nah, he wasn't.
This man is out here trying to kill Black people. He was out here he had lists, like you saying. He out here trying to target Black people. But you saying,
listen, let me keep on reading, right? Before you say something that's wrong again, though. Because I'm trying to give you the game. I'm trying to give it to you, and you won't receive it. Though. Listen to what they're saying. 2 weeks later, he set out for Atlanta, where on his birthday in 1974, he shot Alberta King with 2 handguns as she sat at the organ of Ebenezer Baptist Church. Chenault said he shot King because all Christians are my enemies and black ministers were a menace to black people. He said his original target had been Martin Luther King Sr., but he had decided to shoot his wife instead because she was near him. I'm gonna continue, bro. This is the guy you say you don't believe he was a Hebrew Israelite. Chenault was tried, convicted, and sentenced to die in the electric chair. He said, this is his words. He said he acted out of hatred for Christianity and because his God had told him to. After the killings, he stated that all Christians are my enemies in his trial. Chenault was sentenced to death, even though 2 psychiatrists testified that Chenault had schizophrenia and was insane at the time of the murders. A judge commuted Chenault's sentence to life in prison in 1995. Chenault died of natural causes on August 3rd of 1995. So he's standing on business, bro. He's telling you what he believes.
He never claimed himself as a Hebrew Israelite, though. He didn't say that. He just said he got hatred for all Christians.
Bro, his mentor is Mr. Israel, who's a reverend at a church that's called Black Hebrew Pentecostal Church of the Living God. Wasn't that it?
No, he wasn't that for that church. We can look that up, but that wasn't. No, he wasn't the. We can look that up though.
He wasn't the church for that church. I'll concede. He might not have been a minister for that church, but at the time he was interested in that church that had the sex. That's probably how he first heard about it. Then he got in contact with Minister Israel, and that's who started schooling him to the game. Right?
That's who told him to kill. Right? That's who coerced his mind to kill.
But Minister Israel was also giving him the Black Hebrew Israelite interpretation of the Bible, right? About the black people being so that to me is enough to call him a extremist Black Hebrew Israelite. He got the same beliefs as the sect that I'm referring to. I'm saying extremists, so you won't jump on me about that. There's a difference, but I think that he's part of that group, and a lot of people think, like, I read 3 articles on this, and they all were saying the same thing. Now, if you present me with an article from a source that I think is, generally reliable, pretty reliable, don't gotta be the best.
Change it, right?
I'm open to changing my opinion, but you refuting all of this evidence with no evidence, and that to me, I think is not logically responsible.
It's not with no evidence. This is my claim on it. He said that he never put your boy on to killing Christians. He said it had nothing to do with him.
Niggas don't deny anything. Young Thug said that YSL ain't a gang, bro. That's how it go. Andrew Tate said,
I got you. I'm here.
Listen, man,
I'm here.
I
hear you. I hear you. I hear you on that.
He said, look, I ain't say nothing about no violence. That's what you're supposed to say in front of the police, right? Look, we used to talk about the Bible and shit. We did a little Bible study. I ain't tell them to go shoot nobody now. That's whatever y'all got going on, y'all do y'all job. I'm not finna go ahead and give y'all that. He kept it solid, bro. These sound like some typical street niggas to me. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Okay. Damn.
What did I say wrong?
This ain't typical. When have you ever heard a street nigga shooting up about Christians and saying they killing Christians?
No, it's a little bit different, but street niggas will shoot some shit about a group they're in, and they will stand on business, and they will not cooperate with investigations. Like, they're not just going to do the work for you. I mean, we're seeing different things these days, but what we expect gangsters to do is to stand on business. They'll act in violence. They'll do violence to further their group, right?
Right.
And when they get on the stand, they might not tell the God's honest truth. So none of that surprises me. When they're talking about
a hate group, why is that not a hate group then? Why is that not an extremist group?
Who?
You just said it. You just said it's typical street niggas that's doing that, right? Damn, let me charge this in from a. So why isn't it not those groups that you saying, those street niggas that you saying that's doing that? Why aren't they an extremist group? If they killing, they doing the same type of killing.
That's a good question, Bob.
Okay,
that's a good
question. That this one is money mode. I think it's political motivated that they're using the Black Hebrew Israelites.
Nah. You was on the
Have
point,
that same
and
energy
you
with the
lost it.
gang. Have that same energy with the gangs. Then
You don't want that. You don't want that.
Right.
But they are giving that same energy though. They got like, listen,
They get Rico. They get 7-8 years in jail.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a group that's a problem, but they made a special designation. They're like, okay, we're gonna deal with y'all called y'all hate groups. Now, I think that they look at gangs in a similar way as hate groups, but they're like, no, this is something a little bit different. You know, these guys have different religions sometimes. You know, it's not really about God, you know what I'm saying, necessarily. This is about you're from a different neighborhood or whatever. So they got a guideline that they follow with what they categorize as gangs, and they deal with it differently. I get you. But I like what you were saying when you were saying, how are they different from a hate group? Honestly, I feel like there's not that much difference. Like it's preaching a lot of violence, and they're killing other black people, and it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's good parts about it, but like I bet there was some good parts of that black Hebrew Israelites that he was telling them. I don't think it was all bad. He probably had his diet better, probably had them dressing better, picking better women, and just reading, you know, like things that could be looked at as positive. But if at the heart of it is violence and hatred, it kind of poisons the fruit of the tree. You know what I'm saying? Like all the fruit from that tree is going to be bad. You know what I'm saying? Even if, you know, it's a little bit different. It's just that it's not.
So
good.
you feel the same way about the white supremacists when they come in and kill Christians, when they go kill Christians, it's driven in hate, right?
Yeah,
because we see that. Hold on, we see that more recently. Like to see a black person kill somebody over this Christian belief is once in a million. We don't see it like that, but we seen that with white people still to this day.
Look, we saw white people storm the Capitol, and they had to lay that lady down. Like they had to shoot her. One of the extremists that stormed the Capitol. So I'm not giving
they're not a hate group,
right? A pass at all. No, I'm saying that they are a hate group. Like the Proud Boys is the ones that he told stand by and stuff. They're hate groups, and we categorize them as such. That's why we got good groups like the ADL, watching after groups like that, giving information, trying to get them off the streets and stuff like that. So I don't give white supremacy a pass at all, bro. Anytime you want to talk about them, we can speak on them. We just had somebody who was on the Republican side, so you know that's white supremacy-ish to me, and he was shooting Democratic candidates, people who got elected in the office. You know that story with Mr. Penna. We ain't gonna go that deep into it. But what I'm trying to say is I'm interested in stuff like that. We talk about it, so I'm just letting you know, don't try to frame it in a way where I'm saying that this is worse than white supremacy. I'm saying hate groups straight across the board.
I think they picking and choosing. Listen, I think they will pick and choose what they feel is a hate group. I think with Hebrew Israelites, I'll give you him. Let's say he was a Hebrew Israelite, right? For you to be able to talk and say that there is a bunch of extremist Hebrew Israelites when we only got 3 incidents that I can find, and we can go on here and just
you don't want to wait for the incidents to say it's a hate group. If they're talking about violence, rhetoric, and stuff like that, then you know, and it don't have to be a shooting. There are other acts of violence from.
There are other acts of violence. Okay, well, right here in Broward County, it's about I think it was about 9 deaths that happened this year. Okay, that happened, and we know that it's gang related. We know that this is, you know, what's going on, but these deaths can total up, and nobody never talk about extremists on this. And not to say that I'm
they do talk about that violence, and they talk about gang violence, and they talk about it's like you going all over the place. So at the end of the day, hate groups all across the board, I'm against them. I don't believe nobody who says that God is telling them to do stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff because it usually leads to some bullshit.
Me neither. But I feel like it's more white supremacy driven. I don't feel like you got people out here, even the gangs violence that you.
Well, I already conceded that. I didn't get that from me. I'm saying that I read the information where the FBI was saying that this is the biggest threat right now. White supremacy groups, homegrown stuff, and I'm seeing it with the mass shootings. The white boys is talking about the great replacement theory and stuff like that. It's bad. And it's not just, it ain't just,
the Hebrew
they're not all, some of them are not like white in the sense that, you know, like they're not all white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Some of these people are Hispanic. Some of these are like mixed with other people.
Is it some black? Is it some blacks that kill? Yeah, is it blacks that kill? I don't know, man. We can look into that.
You keep asking if it. Okay. I'm saying, look, anybody killing people in part of a hate group is bad. I don't have to be like, well, are black people doing it more? I'm not on that with you, like what you do. You feel me? I'm saying it's bad anytime it come up. And if he was part of that group, Black Hebrew Israelites, then we need to talk about that, because that fringe sex to them is bad. Whether they black or not, they bad. I'm not fucking with them. I'm not going to be less against them because they're black or only one person got killed or anything like that. I'm against all hate groups.
Yeah, that's not my point. I'm against it too. I'm totally with you on that. But I feel that somebody could be trying to deflect the attention on the real hate groups that's out here and not want that pressure, and they could possibly put it on trying to make other groups look like they're hate groups when really the real hate groups.
Listen, when that happens, we'll address it. But they calling them a hate group is fair. So I can't. This ain't an example of that. That boy shot Martin Luther King mama. I don't know what you talking about, but this is a notable.
That's hate. It's hate.
That's a notable. We need to talk about that. This ain't taking attention away from white supremacy. We're gonna get right back to white supremacy, but we need to talk about this. If this is a group that, you know, there's a lot of radical sects of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement that's identifying with the shit that Kyrie's talking about, that's identifying with the same shit Minister Farrakhan is talking about. I'm trying to paint a picture that it's not all sweet, man. A lot of people never heard of these groups, and they hear about this stuff, and they don't know that at the heart of it, it's a hate group. They hear some things, so, you know, white man bad, black man needs to rise up, and they're like, oh yeah, it's good, and they think that everything about the group is bad. We need to show the ugly side of this shit too.
That's the problem, you know.
Don't try to act like you don't want to show the ugly side of some black shit too. We talk a lot about white people over here. We gotta talk about black people when they fuck up too. We can't be picking and choosing in that regard.
Yes, but it's some black people that ride with. What I'm telling you is they own that side as well. White people use black people to do this kind of to do
I know,
this kind
and
of
look,
work.
If we have evidence of that, let's talk about it. But we're talking about this specific.
Talking about the article that with New York Times,
and we don't
how
have
they
no
articulated
evidence.
the article.
I'm not going to put that on white supremacy all the way. I told you there's some ways where white supremacy, because we in America, you can't escape that. White supremacy
so
gonna play a part.
We here. We definitely.
I think we did good. We had like 155 now. We
did it big, boy. This gonna be a download, boy. Wow. So man, look. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Y'all give us y'all comments. Let me know what y'all think. Hey, am I crazy? Am I going off the wall? Am I not making no sense? Am I just like, blaming white supremacy for everything and not trying to be accountable for our people? Or, it's Cap, making up good points with the New York Times, and this is
if I got something wrong, set me straight.
Set me straight. Yeah, I'm all cool, but I want y'all to feel how I feel. I don't want to hide it. I got to tell you how I feel. And I
like that. We working. At the end of the day, we want to get to the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to learn stuff. I'm trying to get further along.
Right here with you.
With that being said, go ahead and power slap that like button. You feel me? Go ahead and Dana White that thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that tells the algorithm to recommend the video to other people. Mm-hmm. It's free.
For real.
It's free to subscribe too.
For real. So listen, man, we're going to be giving y'all these heated, real important conversations that we're going to be bringing up at least 3-4 times a week. We don't want to give you that, that fluff stuff. We got to give you some real talk. So
listen, man, it's hard to get black people concerned about politics and history sometimes. I know we're not a monolith, but look, I'm going to put the medicine in the applesauce. I'm going to talk about it. If we got time to talk about celebrities and shit, we got time to talk about these politics and this history and this epistemology, because
straight up,
I mean, we got to have a balanced diet. Yeah.
For real. So, hey, man, I hope y'all appreciated it. Give us a like. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.